Welcome back to KC Talks EV, and yes, it's finally time to do the range test on the Leapmotor T03. So this vehicle is from the manufacturer Leapmotor, and it's actually one of the UK's cheapest new cars on sale today. It's got a 37.3 kilowatt hour total battery capacity, and today we're going to be testing its usable capacity as well as what it compares to compared to WLTP. Just like the Skywell BE11 and the BYD Seal range test, we're actually starting from around the Scunthorpe area. I've just been charging this vehicle and we're currently at 97% state of charge. It might be slightly different by the time that I leave. And today we're going to be heading towards IKEA, Leeds or Birstall and back. Today's weather conditions are around 20 degrees Celsius. I don't anticipate that much rain, although if I'm quite honest, it has actually started to become a lot less sunny than it was about an hour ago. So if there is any rain, I'll update this on the weather bit. As mentioned, this is a motorway range test pretty much. So I will be sticking the active cruise control or adaptive cruise control to 70 miles per hour for the entire route. So without further ado, let's get started. So what I have realised about the T03 is actually a little bit concerning. So what it does is that it actually recognises some of these lorries as directly in front of me. That one it didn't bother because I think the car is in front. It's something to just keep in mind if you have a T03. It does have a feature just to turn off adaptive cruise control and in fact actually just have normal cruise control. I will probably actually enable that, and that would be my recommendation. Okay, so I'm turning around now. I've actually went a bit further than Birstall or Batley or A62. So we've done 59 miles. It's actually taken 58 minutes or just under 58 minutes to do this. We've averaged 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour, which isn't too bad if I'm honest. It's a little bit lower than what I would have probably expected from a car of this size, but let's see what we get on the return journey. We do have quite a lot of elevation left as well. Okay, so now the range test is complete on the Leapmotor T03. Essentially, there was a bit of an issue with the active or adaptive cruise control. What it would do is, especially if there was a lorry right next to me, it would assume that it was in front of me and then proceed to brake quite harshly. The interesting thing is, if you look in the infotainment screen, you can actually disable the active cruise control and you can just go to standard cruise control. That's something I probably would recommend. One thing to mention is that this particular vehicle hasn't had any vehicle software updates or anything. Anyway, so we arrived here with 29% state of charge. We actually did 100.2 miles. I actually wanted to drive a little bit further just to get over the 100-mile mark. It took, roughly speaking, about an hour and 40 minutes to do that. So we're looking at an average speed of 59.5 miles per hour. And actually, in terms of efficiency, 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour. I would have thought that a car like this would have done better. Genuinely would have thought it would have approached somewhere like 4.4, 4.5 like my Ioniq, but it kind of makes sense given the form factor of the car. It's quite a boxy vehicle, so especially at higher speeds, at motorway speeds, it's definitely nowhere near as aerodynamic as, for example, my Hyundai Ioniq. there is a lot more air resistance and therefore the efficiency is not going to be as good. A vehicle point of comparison would be something like a VW e-up, and as far as I'm aware, the VW e-up is one of the most efficient electric vehicles that you can actually buy, and it is actually quite boxy in shape, so it might actually be the more flatter front on the T03 more than anything else. If you then do some extrapolation from this, so 29% state of charge, we started off with 97%, meaning that we used, if I'm right in saying, 68% of the charge to do it. 100.2 miles at 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour equals a total available capacity of 37.78 kilowatt hours. Now, that is a little bit higher compared to what they actually quote on the website. And in fact, actually, it is higher compared to the total capacity that they quote. That isn't too much of a surprise, though. As I mentioned, this vehicle hasn't like loads and loads of charges, and therefore I would take that a little bit of a pinch of salt. If I then actually use that value to calculate 100% down to 0% theoretical range on this motorway range test, we're looking at 147.34 miles. And then finally, if we then take that with WLTP combined, we're looking at around 89.28%. Now, what does that actually mean? Well, first of all, this isn't too far off WLTP, and bear in mind this is a motorway realistic range test. In fact, my range test tends to be a little bit more harsh on vehicles compared to other range tests, and definitely is more realistic as well as a result. And actually, it's not a bad performance all round. I think personally Leapmotor could do a little bit of improvement to it. I think there is a lot more to do with the aerodynamics of the vehicle, especially at the flat front as well as the really flat back. I guarantee that Leapmotor T03s aren't going to be whizzing up and down the motorway all day long. You know, it is a bit out of its comfort zone in that respect, and therefore actually for what it's probably going to be used for, even something like my work commute, which involves a lot of the A180 and M180, honestly, that's not still realistic. It is going to be used a lot more in town driving. It's going to be used a lot more in sort of local driving, and you will get significantly more than 147 miles if you actually used it for its intended purpose, which is a little city car. So I think that is pretty much it. So if you found the video informative, please give it a like, dislike it if you didn't. Leave a comment below to let me know what your thoughts are on the Leapmotor T03. By the way, I have also done a review on the Leapmotor T03, which will be before this video, which you can go check out here. I've also done other reviews on kctalksev.com, including all of the range tests, so you might want to go check that out. The link I've left in the description as well as a card at the top. And I think that is pretty much it. So thank you for watching, and talk to you later.